And we are live. What's up, everybody? Once again, it's on Black Comic Lords, Wakanda Whiskey, BLERDDOM, and Bourbon, your late night happy hour. I'm your host, Paul. With me always is my partner, Mark Anthony. We sipping on anything tonight? I'm not.
No. I forgot to grab a bottle. Well, I have a bottle in there that I haven't opened, but I just got my water again today.
I just got a smidge of a touch of a drink left.
I haven't had whiskey in like 2 weeks. Now that I think about it,
man,
crazy.
That's just uncivilized to not have.
I had some rum earlier, but I haven't had any whiskey in a couple of weeks.
Whiskey shows whiskey.
Speaking of, there is about 7 years ago, I started drinking whiskey in earnest, right? Like really paying attention to whiskey. I wasn't drinking it before that. But all that aside, one of the things that I learned is that all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. As you know, whiskey comes from different parts of the country, contains different ingredients, and that determines what it actually is. Okay. I say all that to say, on Hulu, if you like whiskey or you are interested in whiskey,
I already know what you're going to say.
On Hulu, there are two documentaries. One of them is called Neat, and I think the other one is called, I can't remember, Bourbon, maybe. But anyway, both of the documentaries are about how whiskey is made. One of them deals with Scottish whiskey or Scotch, and the other one deals with American bourbon. And it's a pretty good documentary if anybody's interested in learning about, whiskeys and how it's put together. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
You saw both of them or one of them?
I saw the one on Scotch.
Okay. The one on bourbon is kind of cool because they were at, I want to say, the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and they were interviewing a brother. He was a tour guide, I guess, and he was the main focus for that. There was another individual who, I don't know how they found this guy, but he had a whole bar in his basement. It was pretty fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't go out to drink. He just invites people over. And it's not like he's got a big fancy mansion or anything. It's just a regular house in his basement. A lot of people turn it into their man cave or whatever. Well, he turned it basically into a whiskey bar. It's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But if you get the opportunity to watch that show, I would highly encourage anybody to do so who's interested in whiskey. So yeah, so that's it. As I was telling Paul before we came on live, this particular week, there weren't a lot of books that I purchased that were Black-centric. However, the X-Men, a couple of the X-Men titles came out that have Storm.
Did you read that X-Men Red number 2?
X-Men Red number 2, right
yes,
here.
Yes, sir. That story right there?
And Immortal X-Men right here, both of which are Storm-centric. So she's all over the place. And the X-Men titles are pretty good.
They had sidelined Storm for a long time. Specifically, people ask me, why is it that I hate the Inhumans? Back when Marvel, when I say Marvel, I mean the whole company, Marvel and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Back when they were beefing with 20th Century Fox, and Sony for the rights to the X-Men films, Fantastic Four, etc., Marvel actively, in protest, kind of like a temper tantrum from a child, decided to sideline those characters that they could not have the rights to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They literally got rid of the Fantastic Four for years. They said, Reed and Sue decided to go on a sabbatical out in space for years. But more importantly for me, with the X-Men titles, they put them in limbo. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that literally. Like some clever guy decided, hey, let's put the X-Men in limbo and took it literally. They put the X-Men into Ilyana Rasputin's limbo kingdom of which she is queen. And that was their base of operations. They were in hell. They put them in hell outside of the 616 continuity sort of day-to-day going-ons in the 616 universe. They blamed that situation on Storm and said Storm was a failed leader. So much so that Storm developed a complex about it and said, I'm stepping down as leader of the X-Men because under my watch, so many bad things happened and humans hate us even more than they ever did before. So clearly I'm not worthy of being a leader. You guys take over.
What books was this in? Because I don't recall any of this.
I knew you were going to ask that. I'll look it up later. So during this time period, they decided Kitty Pryde comes back and they decide, hey, let's make Kitty like a leader type person. And Kitty ultimately, over the years, becomes Storm's superior. She becomes a team leader and asks Storm, hey, do you mind taking orders? She's, oh, no. I've known you since you were a little girl and I've raised you, so I have no problems taking orders from you. What situation is that? In reality, no one does that.
Well, in fairness, Kitty Pryde has been around forever. She's grown up. She's matured.
I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that. I understand.
You asked a question.
Look, it was a rhetorical question to the people who are watching right now. So the point I'm trying to make is they sidelined Storm in large part during this time period that they were sidelining the X-Men. But after Marvel finally broke a deal with 20th Century Fox, got the rights back, they're now starting to bring the X-Men back. They brought the Fantastic Four back. But Storm was still kind of not really all that spotlighted as a character. That's now changed. Since this Jonathan Hickman run of the X-Men with Powers of X, House of X, they're bringing Storm back in the forefront. Now, she still doesn't have a solo series, which is absurd. Someone made a point on these spaces recently. How does Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, get a solo series and Storm doesn't? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So she doesn't have a solo yet, but a lot of these books are really centered around Storm. As if she's not the leader of the team, she's certainly the focus of the team and always have moments of shine in every issue, which has been good. And that book that you have right there, X-Men Red, number 2, had one of the most badass scenes on one page I've ever seen of Storm in my life.
Which one?
You haven't read it yet?
Yeah, I've read it. I just don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, you can't tell me that you've read it and you don't know what I'm talking about.
I just did. I don't.
There's like one scene that Storm is in the entire book, bro.
Let's see.
She's introduced with the rest of the Araco Brotherhood. She's like, "Wait, what's going on? What's going on out here?" Let's
with Vulcan. Okay, yeah.
Choke dude out.
Yeah.
Literally, is like, go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Which is somewhat surprising because Vulcan is like a complete and total badass.
Well, she points it out. She's like, "You're a mega level. I'm a mega level too."
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't saying nothing to me.
Do you have that book when he was first introduced? What was it called? X-Men Genesis? Was that it?
Deadly Genesis.
Deadly Genesis.
Issue 2, was it?
Well, I mean, I have the whole run, but it was in that run. The Deadly Genesis was a pretty good storyline. It came out in the early 2000s.
Issue 2 was the first appearance of Darwin, who's black, by the way.
Right. For those who may not know, there is a third Summers brother whose name he goes by Vulcan, but what is his Earth name?
Gabriel Summers.
Gabriel Summers, who was basically born kind of like in vitro after his mother was killed. He grew up on Shi'ar.
She was pregnant when Corsair and her were captured, and I guess they took the the egg
They
or
took the embryo and then they raised them, and Gabriel was raised as a slave. And then at a certain point, he was married to, or the consort to, Deathbird, who is the sister to Leandra, who is the consort to Professor Xavier. And Gabriel Summers, aka Vulcan, took over the Shire Empire for a period of time. That was a pretty good storyline. I like that back in the day too.
Yep.
But he's younger, obviously, than Scott and Alex, but somehow they raised him up. They advanced grew him or something like that. I don't remember how that went down. But yeah, he's about their age now. What's going on, Amani? How you doing?
What's up, Amani?
But going back to what you were saying in reference to Kitty Pryde. Going back to Kitty Pryde, in these groups.
Oh no! Look at what Rico just put.
Wakanda, no. Okay, you can get that off the screen.
Yeah.
When it comes to these
where's
groups,
the block button on this? Can we block Rico?
When it comes to these groups, the leadership changes all the time. When it comes to, for example, the Avengers, the chairmanship changes all the time. Same thing with the X-Men. So personally, I don't take an issue with Kitty Pryde becoming. I don't have a problem with Kitty Pryde becoming the chairperson of the X-Men for a while, because she's an intelligent person. So if
I don't like her playing second fiddle to somebody who.
If Captain America can play second fiddle to Captain Marvel, who is relatively brand new as a superhero when she took over the chairmanship of the Avengers, then Kitty Pryde, who has been a member of the team since she was 13, Storm can take, a backseat to her and to her leadership.
Yeah, you're out your mind. We'll agree to disagree on that.
The issue with that. Say it again.
So we'll just have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah. I have no problems with it. I mean, if it was Doug Ramsey, okay, yeah, I could see some issues with that. But not Kitty, because Kitty's a fighter.
Now, for y'all that is watching, we literally prepared nothing for tonight. This is a free form show. We have not talked about what we're going to talk about. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. I got a whole stack of comics that just came in the mail today. I haven't even looked to see what they are. So I'm gonna do an open boxing, and y'all can watch with me, and I'll figure out what I just got.
That's fun. But this week on Comic Book Day, there's some books that were dropped. Savage Avengers #1 just dropped. Shadow War Zone, which is a one-shot that involves the Shadow War storyline involving Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and Deathstroke and Batman.
That's actually not a bad book for the simple reason that it's got. They finally brought back Luke Fox, who's been sidelined since his brother's been getting all the shot as the next Batman, Batwing. Also in that issue is supposed to be. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard that it's also supposed to have Black Manta and Black Spider, who hasn't been seen in a long time, the Black villain.
I've never heard of Black Spider before. That's crazy. But I haven't read my copy yet. It's still
Black Spider is the very first Black villain in DC Comics, if I'm not mistaken. He first appeared in Detective Comics something or other. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Another book that I got was Wonder Woman Evolution, which is a mini-series involving Wonder Woman. Thor, which of course I love. And finally,
blonde-haired, blue-eyed folk.
Eternals, which has been pretty good actually. I'm not.
Is that current storyline any good? The one with the crossover with the Avengers, is that any good?
Crossover with the Avengers. They did appear in a book. Yes, I'm enjoying it. I'm not a huge fan of the art, but the story I'm liking because it centers on Thanos.
Wait. You're not a huge fan of the art. Isn't the artist Esad Ribic, or is it somebody else?
I'll have to tell you. Yes, Ribic.
You don't like Esad Ribic's artwork?
I'm not a huge fan of it. No.
Dude, you're high.
I like
Detective Comics 463, by the way. That's the first issue of Black Spider.
Right. I like it because it centers on Thanos. Thanos is one of my top 5 favorite comic book characters.
Yeah.
First being Black Panther, second being Thor, third being Deathstroke, and then I would say that Thanos is my fourth favorite character. I have all of his one shots, all books pretty much that involve him. This Eternals run, Thanos, for those who don't know, is a Titan Eternal. The Titans that are on, the Eternals that are on Titan came from Earth. And he's cousins to the Earthbound Eternals. And so I love their storyline. I love, everything involving Thanos because he is a complete and total badass. So anything involving him, I'm a huge fan of.
Did you have any other books this week?
Well, somebody in one of the groups posted a image of a Black Atlantean who was T'Challa, or just a Black Wakandan.
Yes,
like a.
That's an in the Exiles, right? Exiles.
Right. Well, basically, there is a alt-world story where I guess T'Challa is an Atlantean, or there is somebody who's half Wakandan or half Atlantean, something along those lines.
He's just a Black Atlantean. Yeah.
Okay, a Black Atlantean. And that storyline was in the new Exiles. Yeah. And I believe he made his appearance in number 4, so I bought 1 through 4 of that story. I read issue number 1.
Who told you to get those? Who told you to get those?
Whoever it was that posted in the group. You probably told me to get the entire thing because I was just going to get number 4.
No, I told you to get the 1 through 4.
Then very good. So I went on ahead and got 1 through 4. I know it's a whole entire run, but I didn't want to get all of it. I just wanted to get the ones with him in it. Did you ever get Black Panther 2099 or something like that? Did you ever get that one?
Yeah, I hated that story, but yes, I have.
Yeah, that story was bad.
Oh,
there was a one shot that came out several years ago where there was a descendant of T'Challa, and I didn't like how they did that story.
I didn't like how the story ended.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
What about the manga? Did you get the manga? Marvel manga? Did you get that?
No.
Yeah, there's a 4 or 5 issue limited series called Marvel Manga, and there is another alt version of T'Challa and Shuri, actually, I think, in that. So that might be something people want to.
I just got something in the mail that I've wanted for a while, and I'm embarrassed to say I've never had even one copy of this in my collection. It's embarrassing, actually. But I finally, I hate when they give you some torn up bag and boards. This is some bullshit right here. Come on, dude. You gotta pack your stuff better than this.
While you're doing that, did you watch Agent Carter at all?
Yes, I did.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Yeah, I just finished it today. It wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it.
It was a very good show.
Yeah.
It was very
special. The second season, one of the main allies was a Black dude, and this show was set in the 40s.
They even had kind of a little romance thing going on.
Right. They had, Snow White, Peggy Carter kissing on a brother, and I wondered if she
in
tell Steve about that
1950, whatever it was. Probably before that loving case that allowed such things to even occur.
I enjoyed it.
I wonder if she told Steve about that little part of it.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's what I just said. When he came back, did she tell him she was kissing on that Black man? And Sousa, as a matter of fact, her coworker.
So this is what I just got in the mail today. Luke Cage, number 17. And it is a nice, clean-ass copy, too. What's significant about this book is this little knob right here where it says, the first and greatest Black superhero of all. Now, we all know that T'Challa was the first Black superhero in Marvel Comics. Well, if you're not counting the Atlas Comics, Waku and stuff like that, but it's another story. But this is kind of like, I guess, their definition of black being Black American. First Black American to have his own title in Marvel Comics. So that's kind of dope. So I always love this cover. Dope cover. Finally had this. I should have had this in my collection a long time ago. Never had it. So I'm going through the stuff I got. I got a stack. I got a literal stack of comics. I picked this up simply for the storyline. This is Teen Titans 41. It's part of a run in which we have this character that I've never heard of until recently called Jin, which was a genie, this little black girl genie. So picked up that storyline.
How many books in Marvel are there about black women? Does Moon Girl still have her book?
No, dude.
Okay.
She hasn't been in print for a while. She's got a new series coming out soon. Well, it's a one-shot with Miles Morales called Miles Morales and Moon Girl.
Okay. And the reason why I asked that question is when I went to the store the other day and I was picking up my books or when I was reading or whatever, I was thinking about how there are several titles in DC that are black women books. You know, you've got Naomi, which is a mini series, but still, you got Naomi, you got Nubia. You had the Far Sector title that I think has ended. There's somebody else. Oh, the Gardener. I think, doesn't she have like her own mini series or something going on?
She didn't have a mini series. She had a one shot. Secret origins of her. Gordon said to you that Thanos Rising miniseries from 2013 showed how insidious Thanos was from an early age.
That he was basically crazy. I mean, he's been seeing death since he was a child. So, yeah.
Rob's Comics 81 says, one with Moon Girl with Avengers too. Yes, there's also a one shot with Moon Girl, the Avengers. Now, I want to say like either Fantastic Four or XMen too.
Yeah, there aren't, that I can think of, there aren't a lot of titles in Marvel that are black woman centric, and they should do a better job of that.
Another book I got, Justice Society of America 23 with the Black Adam storyline. This is a dope storyline. I think this is the first appearance of Mary Marvel. He
is my fifth favorite comic book character.
Yeah.
He's tough.
This issue 1, 23, 24, and 25 is like the Black Adam family of the Shazam universe. That it has to do with the Black Adam family, with him, Mary Marvel, and this younger version as well. And that takes place in this storyline. This is actually a dope book. I saw Richard is here, so I wanted to show Richard this. We talked about this, I think, at his last live, and I had to go out and get this book. This is the Mighty Avengers 1 variant, the Scotty Young variant, with Luke Cage, the Power Man, White Tiger, Spectrum, and Superior Spider-Man. You got Power Man with a bunch of clippers, and Luke Cage there, and he's saying, "Oh no, the headband doesn't work without the hair, man." I just love the cover. I used to not be a fan of Scotty Young covers, but they've really steadily grown on me, so now I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Have you been collecting those covers and you showed one on a thread or something where basically it looks like a action figure?
Yeah.
Or whatever?
Yeah, the John Tyler Christopher covers.
Yeah, have you been collecting all those?
I've been collecting quite a few of them, yeah. For various comics.
Why hasn't DC changed Black Adam into The Rock yet? Who knows?
They kind of did. If you collected Future State Shazam, there's a backup story in that with Black Adam that looks dead ass like Rock.
I remember that.
Absolutely.
This is a weird book
I picked up.
In the current issues of Justice League, though, he doesn't look anything like him. He almost looks white.
He absolutely looks
definitely
white.
Not white.
In this is Star Wars Mandalorian is very popular. Shout out to Rodney Barnes, who has his series that drops fairly soon. This is a screen comic. I don't know if you guys are familiar with screen comics. Screen comics are where they take screenshots of movies, television shows, what have you, and they put word bubbles on it and turn it into a comic book. So instead of art, you just take pictures from the actual movie or television show and turn it into a comic book. And this is the Mandalorian. So technically, this is the first Mandalorian comic book to ever come out, because this is already dropped.
Mandalorian was good. I was not a fan of the Boba Fett series.
The Boba Fett series is really Mandalorian season 2.5 towards the end.
Yeah, right, towards the end. How many episodes was it? Like 5 or 6? I stopped watching. I watched the first 2, didn't watch 3 and 4, and then watched the last 1 or 2.
This is why Rico Jones is Professor Time. He's correcting me and dropping some knowledge at the same time. It says, actually, Cage is the first Black Marvel character to have a title, regardless of geography, African-American, etc. Calvin from Little Kids is the second, and Reno Jones is the third. And the Reno Jones specifically is absolutely right. The Reno Jones specifically, where it's a singular title, is issue, what is that, Rico? Number 7, I think it is. Reno Jones 7, which I think is the final issue, where it becomes not just Reno Jones and the little white dude, but just Reno Jones, Gunhawk. So those are classic issues you get, and very affordable books to get to add to your collection.
Luke Cage should have a bigger spot in Marvel's pantheon than he does, though, simply because his was the first ongoing Black title.
Gordon says, it's coming very soon. Comic books, I saw a cover of something coming up where he looks just like The Rock.
Yeah,
yes, in the new Black Adam series, one of the variant covers looks like The Rock. If Mary Marvel can get an ongoing book, then surely Storm can. Marvel? Ms. Marvel. I think he must mean Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. Rico says, yes, it's Reno Jones, number 7. All right, so the next issue I have is, got my Blood Syndicate finally came in the mail. That cover, I think I got all the covers, because I'm a milestone dude through and through.
That Blood Syndicate was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, Blood Syndicate was damn good.
Yeah.
Star Wars Obi-Wan number 1, because I'm a Star Wars guy. Ooh, did you pick this up? Nubia Coronation Special.
I think I did. That came out last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you get this cover?
No, I don't think so.
They were selling this cover for $30 before it even hit the stands.
That's crazy.
On eBay.
I think the cover I got was she was like kind of flexing.
Yeah, and I got this for less than cover price. I think I paid $2.79 for this. It was part of my pre-orders. Here's the one that you got.
Yes, that's what I have. Yes.
I know you like them strong women.
I do indeed.
Oh, I liked it so much I apparently got 2.
That Nubia in the Amazon storyline was not as
got the first cover too, the cover with David
not
Mack.
as deep as I thought it was gonna be. It was set up good, but I think they should have drawn it out a little bit more. I don't know. Something about it didn't resonate.
Oh, this is one of the best covers this new milestone came out with, done by the young artist Edwin Gallman, who's in this space. This that Hardware number, is this 5? Hardware 5, cover B. That's a dope ass cover. Reminds me of old school Dennis Cowan type stuff. Oh man. So here's the other cover for Hardware 5. Let's talk about this. Marvel Legends number 4. Did you read this?
Yeah, I'm sure I did, because I don't have that cover. My cover is different, but yeah.
I'm a big fan of Sway. Shout out to Sway. I hope to see him tomorrow at MegaCon. I wasn't a big fan, and I've collected all of his covers, particularly the ones he's done this year. He's been killing it in the cover game. I consider him one of the best cover artists in the game right now. But I wasn't really too fond of this particular portrayal of T'Challa. He just looks...
He looks scrawny.
And just not very T'Challa-y.
Yeah.
That doesn't like a pose that you see T'Challa. You see T'Challa up in the trees, you expect him to be sort of, ready to pounce like a cat, Not just kind of, hey, like, I don't
know. This artist, I'm not a fan of this artist, and I'm not a fan of Ridley's writing on the other main book. So, this has not been a good T'Challa past couple of years for me, outside of the Avengers. In the Avengers,
I have not been a huge...
Hold on. In the Avengers, he's still a complete badass, but in his own books, Legends and the main title, I haven't been impressed with what I've been seeing of him. I don't like how they've been doing him, at all.
Yeah, just wasn't a fan of this Legends series. They revamped certain things, and I don't know. It was just more of an alt world type thing. And I know they're trying to do something to appeal to the kids, but I wasn't a big fan.
Well, I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but I understand why they did it. Like you said, it could be for kids or for people who are trying to jump on into Black Panther, late to the game, so to speak. So that gives them a starting out point. I get it. I understand it. But the art, not a huge fan. The story, I don't have a problem with the story.
The art, I wasn't a big fan of the art either. I wasn't a fan of the art.
Now, the artist
they had to try looking mad skinny.
Right. The artist who does the main story of Black Panther now, I like his art. That's the way T'Challa looks.
Yeah.
The way that he was done during Coach Run, didn't like that.
Yeah, you don't like Daniel Acuna's art.
Nope.
Gordon says, "Oh yes, I have that cover of the Nubia Coronation Special, and thanks Paul for the heads up on that one." Yeah, most definitely, man. JT says, "Got the Sway cover." Rico says, "Sway can't draw Black woman at all, and that Black Panther cover looks like a Portuguese." A Portuguese. He said it looks like a Portuguese variant.
I don't even
That's
know what
cool,
that means.
dog. That's cool. And I disagree with you. He can draw women. He did the cover for, I think it was Dark Ages 6, the cover with Monica Rambeau. That covers, let me pull that up. That covers fire.
I like that storyline. I like that storyline a lot.
The Dark Ages?
Yes.
It was Dark Ages, right? I'm not mistaken that. Yes, here it is. Issue number 5. This cover. You can't say the brother can't draw a woman, because that's a damn good picture of Monica Rambeau. This is one of my favorite Monica Rambeau covers of all time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't have that variant.
That's
pretty good.
That is damn good. Love this cover.
Can't remember who the artist is that art reminds me of. Somebody who used to draw XMen back in the day. I can't think of it right now. Do you read Fantastic Four at all, or no? Just during...
Rico says that Dark Ages cover is okay. You don't like that? How does he not like that cover? Oh, Rob said it's the one exception.
Do you read Fantastic Four?
No. I only read the Fantastic Four issues that have to do with T'Challa. Gordon Mahan says, "I love Steel Freeze's T'Challa and Black Panther representations at the beginning of Coates' run. I wish he had continued on the internal work and not just the covers." I agree. I wish Steel Freeze had continued on. I don't know. I'm not certain why he got off the book. Let's see what else I got here. Speaking of your Fantastic Four, here's the other cover for that Marvel Legends number 4. What else we got here? Damn, I got all 3 of them. I must have pre-ordered this, not knowing what they look like.
How many books do you think you have right there on that table that haven't been read?
That have not been read?
Correct.
I've probably read half of them.
So the half that's remaining, how many do you think you got?
I said I read about half of them, so the other half has not been read.
And that number would be.
I couldn't tell you, dude. I don't know. I don't know what your point is.
The point was I was just trying to figure out how much you had left, how much is up there. That was the point.
I don't know. I can't count.
I mean, I got it now.
Do you want me to physically count the books?
No. I was just wondering if you knew how much you got over there that's not read. Simple question. Like, for example, I got. Do you still have back issue stuff that you haven't read? Because like I still have 2.5 long boxes of back issue stuff that I haven't read. So I'm estimating about 300 books that I have. Do you still have like back issue stuff?
Of course. Of course. Especially at the volume of stuff that I get. Marauders 2. This is the best cover they had. I didn't like this cover at all. I may end up dropping Marauders because it hasn't really stepped up. It hasn't been like the previous incarnations of the team.
The only X books I get are Immortal, Red, and the main title.
Yeah, I think those are the ones I get too.
And I'm enjoying it.
And that Marauders, which I think I'm about to drop. Here's Batman 123. He's still one of my favorite superheroes, and care anybody says. I picked up this Captain America Symbol of Truth. Here's the Olivier Coipel.
That's what I forgot to get.
Cover.
That's what I forgot to get.
I love Olivier Coipel. He's one of my favorite cover artists, French brother. Look, say what you will about Cap Falcon. I'm also of the opinion that I prefer Falcon just to remain Falcon, but this is a damn good book. It's well written by the writer Tony Onyabuchi. I can't pronounce his last name. Damn good book. And again, I'm a big Scotty Young fan, so I get Scotty Young cover too.
Is that going to be an ongoing or is it one shot?
No, it's I think it's maybe 6 issues. Most comic companies aren't doing a lot of ongoings for stuff these days, particularly for black books. You're going to get a limited series, then move on to the next one.
Yeah, that reminds me, while you're doing that, let's switch gears real quick. Did you see the preview for the SheHulk Attorney at Law? Did you see the trailer for that?
I did.
Yo, that looks horrible. I mean, it looks god awful.
The CG did not look good.
I hope that those folks are bullied the way that people bullied the Sonic the Hedgehog initial design, because it was bad. This was horrible. This was just absolutely horrible. I saw something on Twitter that said allegedly somebody who supposedly worked for the CGI or one of the CGI companies said that they had She-Hulk bigger, but they were given notes by head honchos to make her smaller. That version of her is not the She-Hulk that's in the comic books as far as physicality. She looks like she needs some sandwiches. I mean, that looks horrible. It looks bad.
We can hope that maybe they'll do a thing where when she gets angry, she gets bigger, which there's precedent in the comics for that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. But her general overall size, Serena Williams as a prime example, the way Serena Williams normally looked like 10 years ago, that's kind of the way She-Hulk looks, big, defined, muscular. This chick is just tall and lanky and green. I'm not impressed at all.
I was more concerned with the CGI just not looking like. They had shots of Hulk and they had shots of She-Hulk. Hulk looked good, but for some reason She-Hulk looked off.
Yeah.
Like if you can do Hulk, why can't you do the CGI and She-Hulk to look as equally good? Rico asked an interesting question. He says, do you guys think the Black Panther Fingers cover is an homage? If so, do you think it's a low-key Harlem Youth Report homage for Justice League of America 10 or a Justice League of America 10 homage? Wow. Rico just went into the well with that one. This is the one he's talking about. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Harlem Youth Report is, and Rico could correct me on this, because I learned all this from him. But Harlem Youth, there was a publication released back in the '60s to try and get, I guess, reading and education for blacks, and they were doing reports on the state of blacks in America, youth in America, and they put out this comic book as sort of an educational tool and passed it out to people. It's a very rare comic book. It's ultra rare for the hardcore collectors. It's one of those grails that if you see pop up on eBay, you're gonna pick it up no matter what the cost is, because they're like impossible to find. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I think we have it on our website.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Youth in the Ghetto. Yeah. I've never heard of the Harlem Youth Report until seeing that right now, but looking at this, then looking at that cover, yes, that makes perfect sense that it is an homage to that.
Let me pull it up here. Now compare that to this. Wow. This cover is by Juni Ba, black artist, up and coming. Damn, I never even realized that. Leave it to Rico to point something like that out.
Paul just said a moment ago that if you see something like this, you're going to get it no matter what the price is. And I would disagree with that, because I'm on eBay right now and I just put Youth in the Ghetto in. Youth in the Ghetto number 5 is selling for $5,500 or best offer.
Yep.
And my best offer would probably be $50. So suffice to say, that will not be something that's
this isn't for the casual comic collector, I'll tell you that. Let's read the significance. It came out in 1964. A powerful and revolutionary black comic, long considered a ghost or a mystery by many black collectors, because only a few have managed to catch a glimpse of this rare comic book. Distributed only in Harlem, it's a comic for and about black community, which was part of an effort to seriously study and examine the issues facing the residents of Harlem in the 1960s and to suggest a path forward. Published by Harlem Youth Opportunities Unlimited, Harrio, an organization founded by psychologists, educators, and civil rights activists who testified as expert witnesses in a case which evolved into Brown versus Board of Education. There is no Harlem Youth Report 1 through 4, so number 5's numbering is a bit of a puzzle. Some have speculated that because Harrio distributed the comic along with other items as part of an educational plan, it could simply mean that the comic was the 5th version or part of it. Harrio issued a 644-page report called Youth in the Ghetto, a study of the consequences of powerlessness and a blueprint for change at this time as well, along with a brochure that summarizes that report, which notes a brief pictorial summary or comic magazine was also available for the younger reader. The report was remarkably effective. In the year that the Harlem Youth Report number 5 was issued, Harrio's study and its blueprint for change convinced Lyndon B. Johnson administration to earmark $100 million to back the changes it recommended over the subsequent 3 years. Read a copy of Harlem Youth Report at afrorana.com. Rico Jones, who brought this up, shout out to Rico, is the contributor to our site to give us the information on this book for the website.
Yeah, I never heard of it until just now.
Well, that brings up my next point. This and other things of interest, please check out our website, blackcomiclords.net. Your Black Issue Explorer right here. Here are all the black keys that we talk about on the Black Comic Lords all the time. Every single one of these books that you see here is a key on some level. Some more significant than others. Some are just incredibly impossible to find. And some of them will surprise you as to what has been a key issue in Black comic collecting. So if you haven't checked out this site, you're doing yourself a disservice if you consider yourself a Black comic collector. And I can say that unabashedly because it's all here. Shout out to Willie for the entry on Black Atlas. Anyway,
hold on one of the covers that you just showed was the Black title. From what company is that from? Not
Black
Boom.
Atlas?
No. Black. Just
Black Mass Comics.
Black Man. Okay, yeah. Paul told me about that title a while ago, and I picked them up, but I cannot find issue 4 of that title, and it's killing me because that's the only thing that I'm missing. CGI. Somebody just said CGI takes time. Oh, and that's fine. Don't release stuff if it's not ready yet, because you are already putting out bad vibes out there.
Rico says it may also be Justice League of America number 10. Now I gotta look that up because I'm not even familiar with that one. So Rico is about to give us a little bit of an education because I do not know what he's talking about. He said Justice League number 10. From the 1960s. Searching. I don't see a. Maybe I'm not doing this right. Is it Justice League of America, Rico?
Yeah, he said Justice League of America.
Oh, Justice League of America number 10. I put in Justice League number 10. All right, my bad. Oh, yeah. Okay. He may have a point. Let's pull this up. This is Justice League of America number 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
What year did that come out?
This came out in 1962.
And then The Youth in the Ghetto came out in
1964.
Yeah. That's Faust, I think, on the cover, right? It looks like.
It says The Fantastic Fingers of Felix Faust.
Yeah. I became familiar with him due to that great Wonder Woman cartoon that came out in 2010, which was a phenomenal movie.
Wow. I've never, ever seen this before. Shout out to Rico, man. Always dropping knowledge.
That's it. So outside of going back to the whole Marvel TV stuff.
What's up, James?
She-Hulk is the only thing that's coming as far as Marvel is concerned now that we're done with Moon Knight, right? And I know there's talk about bringing the Netflix.
There's Ms. Marvel's coming.
Miss Marvel. Okay. So Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. Anything else?
Thor and Love and Thunder.
Yeah. So that's the only thing at the big screen. There's nothing else on the big screen.
Then Black Panther in November.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which you've pushed out of your mind because
I'm not gonna go see that.
You're boycotting the movie.
Yeah, I am. I absolutely am. I mean, it makes no sense to have a Black Panther movie without the current Black Panther, T'Challa. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Amani interviewed Junie Bao. I didn't know that. I have to check that out, Amani. Mad props. All right, so continuing on. Other books I got. I Am Batman, number 9. Again, dope book. John Ridley's knocking it out the park in the writing of this here book. Batman finally got humbled. He got checked and has to reevaluate himself.
Yeah, you mentioned that book last week.
Yeah,
it's interesting to me how these creators can keep these different storylines in their head and write them simultaneously. Because our boy Brian, he does that. He'll have 2 or 3 projects going. Jeffrey Thorne, you just mentioned Ridley, who's doing that, as well as Black Panther. The fact that these people can do that, that's really impressive to me.
Naomi got canceled.
The series, yeah. I thought we talked about that last week, but yeah,
I'm not worried about it because I got Naomi the comic book.
Yeah.
This book makes the television series irrelevant.
I won't say that, but
it really does.
I will say that the series, I only watched the first 2 episodes, and it was just bad. It just was not good. And Ava DuVernay, as I mentioned before, was attached to it. And outside of her real world type stuff, like When They See Us, which I have not and will not see, her other stuff just hasn't been that great. Things that's associated with her. I heard A Wrinkle in Time, which I haven't seen, was horrible. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, I'm surprised because you got a daughter, but I heard it was just a horrible movie. And I told you last time that she was attached to a New Gods project, and I'm glad she's no longer doing that because I don't know about her filmmaking. I'm not impressed with her filmmaking as it is. Gordon,
I did get the Mateus Manahini. I can't pronounce that guy's name. Manhanini variant. Yes, I did get that. Did you see this? I don't collect a lot of swords and sorcery comic books, but you don't often see a Black character in that realm. And this is Red Sonja's adopted daughter called Red Sitha. And this is her, I guess this is her first title.
I did not see that. I did see Red Sonja at the store, but I didn't see that. And I'm really starting to like Conan, and Red Sonja is part of that whole Conan world.
Yeah. Well, those Conan books back in the day were dope, particularly when he did the Black Coast storyline.
Now there were 2 different types. There was the smaller, regular size, and then there was kind of like the giant size.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, because I've got 1 or 2 of each of those. So I'm gonna have to get that Red Sitha.
Amir says, I think the New Gods joint got shut down because Tom King was a part of the writing team and his reading is garbage. Tom King did this run on Batman that everyone's trying to forget about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. But I mean, I love
ShangChi 12. It was kind of interesting with the ShangChi comics because they are, if you're familiar with Master of Kung Fu, you know he has a very just messed up history. It's just racist. I mean, it's not Marvel at its best. And that's putting it lightly. Marvel did that character and the Asian community a terrible disservice. Their portrayal of Shang-Chi and moreover his father was just flat out, you can't even avoid that. Marvel doesn't even talk about it. To their credit, Marvel addressed it when they did the Shang-Chi movie. They had the actor, they didn't restrain him from addressing it. Who's like, look, I wasn't going to even portray this role because I saw his history and it's just messed up. Real Fu Manchu type of racial tropes. Had this dude running around barefoot. I don't know what it is with people of color as superheroes and them running barefoot. Brother Voodoo, the same thing. I don't know what the deal is on that. But
Quick Kick on G.I. Joe, same thing. Asian dude running around in the Arctic without a shirt or shoes.
Right. Like they have these dudes out in the Arctic with no shoes and no shirt. Like they don't get cold. They don't get frostbite. Like that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, they're trying to actively retcon Shang-Chi's history. Originally Shang-Chi was like half white when he was first created, right? Like his dad was this criminal dude, Fu Manchu dude, and his mom was like this white American woman. So they got rid of that. Both his parents are Asian, like you saw in the movie. Basically, what you saw in the movie is Marvel's retcon for Shang-Chi as a character, absent the Mandarin storyline, because his father is not the 10 Rings guy. But in this issue, Shang-Chi does get those 10 rings that you see in the movie. So that becomes retconned as part of his superpower set. And his first getting of them happens in this particular issue. In the next issue, you see him on the cover with the 10 rings around him. So Marvel's actively trying to make the movie version the actual comic book version, which is a good thing. It's one of the few times the movie's better than a comic book.
The character debuted in 1973, and that's the same year that Bruce Lee got arrested. So that's the same year that he died. And Bruce Lee brought "quote unquote" kung fu to America's consciousness with his movies, and so that was Marvel basically trying to cash in on the kung fu craze, for lack of a better term. Yeah. You know, I mean, you had a song, everybody was kung fu fighting. That was all the rage in the early 70s, and that can be tied directly to Bruce Lee. Obviously, you know, you got white folks drawing this stuff, and they're not thinking about how racist their portrayals are. And, you know, you got to give credit for modern creators to sit up and say, yeah, that was kind of bad what we did. Let's go ahead and retcon that. And a lot of these stories are retconned for, you know, from a timeline standpoint, because there was a time, as an example, Tony Stark, he was injured over the Vietnam War. That's how he got his chest plate. That's how he got his injury. Well, during the Extremis storyline, it was retconned that he was injured in what we call the Middle East. And that's the story that we saw in Iron Man in 2008, where he wasn't injured in, you know, Vietnam, because that would make Tony Stark like 70, 80 years old at this point. So having him injured more recently kind of, you know, makes things more current. And that's something that Paul and I were discussing last week when it comes to Magneto. Whenever the MCU brings the X-Men over to their universe, how is that going to be done? Because as we know, Magneto was in the concentration camps in Auschwitz. That's where his family was killed. Well, that would put Magneto now in his probably 80s, if not 90s. And, you know, if you're going to have new movies within the next 5-10 years, you can't have some 80, 90-year-old dude running around. In the comic books, it works because he's been killed and reincarnated and cloned and all that other stuff. So it works in the comic books. But in real world, they're going to have to come up with a different vehicle to bring that character to life.
Gordon says, I cannot bring myself to read and collect anything by Robert E. Howard now. Robert E. Howard was a bigot and a contemporary mentee of another bigot named H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovecraft
Country. It's like I can't read anything by Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah. Lovecraft Country, the series on HBO, was a phenomenal series. And everybody was disappointed when they announced that they weren't going to have a season 2 of that. And what's my girl's name?
Sonja Green or something like that?
No, Smollett, the sister. Journey Smollett. She should have won an Emmy and Golden Globe for her portrayal of Letty Lewis. I mean,
Letty fucking
Lewis. That man, listen. Oh, she was phenomenal. That was a very, very good series. Very good series.
That, and I mean, we were lucky as a people to get back-to-back HBO series like that, because we had Watchmen, and then we had that Lovecraft Country right afterwards. Great time for television.
And both of them were Black people and Black women centric, and they were sci-fi, in the sci-fi genre. Yeah. That, along with the Star Trek, Discovery. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think that there's been a time that I can recall where we've had 2-3 separate shows that were sci-fi, in the sci-fi genre, that featured Black women. And for me personally, when it comes to the Watchmen and Lovecraft Country, what I enjoyed was the fact that they discussed and focused on my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street specifically. In the latter episodes of Lovecraft Country, when they went back in time, you know, they ran up on these kids who were getting ready for the prom for Booker T. Washington High School. Well, that's my high school. That's the high school that I went to. So seeing my city, seeing the story of Black Wall Street being told in popular culture, that and throw in Bitterroot just made me feel really proud because, you know, those are stories. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I grew up about maybe 3 miles away from Black Wall Street. Did not hear about Black Wall Street when I was a kid, did not learn about it in school. So them bringing this to the forefront, I'm very appreciative of. And yes, Gordon is right. Lovecraft Country was excellent and should have been allowed to continue. I wonder how they would have done that with Jonathan Major's character dying, but it would have been interesting to see. The One Me, who played the dark skinned sister? Her name was One Me something. I can't
remember. I know you're talking about. I just don't remember her name.
Very beautiful woman, but I'm glad that she's now starting to get her shine because the first time I saw her was in Lovecraft Country. Then she appeared in Loki as the main,
TVA agent.
The TVA agent. Yep. Now she's got another series that's coming out about cops in Baltimore, I want to say. And I want to say, who's got John Barenthal? John Barenthal plays it, and I think she's in that, plays a district attorney or something like that. But I say all that to say, I'm glad that she is starting to get her props because she can act, and she's a very, very attractive woman.
Louisiana Kid 08 says, have you all seen the episodes featuring Rocket and Young Justice?
Yes, yes.
Let me tell you, first of all, Young Justice, I've always been a fan of Young Justice.
Yep.
Shout out to Dwayne McDuffie for making that show what it is and keeping that spirit alive. Now, this season started out rough for me. I was not overly enthusiastic about that whole Mars storyline. Like you could have left that out. It quite frankly, and then it moved into the storyline with the kids and learning from Zatanna the sorcery, and I was like, that was a little slow for me too. So I dropped off of Young Justice, and then someone said, hey, Young Justice is getting good, so I decided to give another shot and caught up. And they introduced Rocket as like a full Justice League member type person,
and a single mother who's a kid with a kid on the spectrum.
Look, the episode they introduced, and I did a post on this. The episode they introduced Rocket in, I want to say it's episode 8, maybe 10, something like that. That was like the blackest episode of Young Justice we've ever seen. It had no less than probably 8 black people in that episode. It was a blackety black episode, and it was actually written by a sister as well. So, definite homage to Dwayne McDuffie in that alone. And the subsequent episodes were just dope.
I've been watching it, from the beginning. I enjoyed it. I agree with Paul that the Mars version was kind of slow, whatever the case may be. But in the middle, they focused on Vandal Savage, and they were doing like kind of a time skip. They were dealing with some current life stuff, and then they were going back in time with Vandal Savage. And it was a really, really good episode. Now, like when it comes to comic books, beforehand, I rarely paid attention to the writers, artists, whatever. I'm doing better now. Same thing when it comes to television. I rarely pay attention to who writes or directs them. But for some reason, it was still playing, and I was looking at it. Kevin Grievous wrote the episode that I was enamored with when it showed the history of Vandal Savage. And come to find out that Nabu is one of Vandal Savage's great grandkids. I mean, yes. the Wizard King of Atlantis, Orion, is another grandchild or great grandchild of Vandal Savage. So in the DC universe, at least in the cartoon world, Savage is like the granddaddy of practically everything that we know. Vandal Savage is a bad dude. He's also one of my favorite characters. So,
Gordon points out you were asking the name of that actress.
One Me
Masaku.
She was in a movie with my number 2 choice to play T'Challa, Sope Dirisu, where they played. It was a horror story where they were in England, and the house that they were staying in was haunted. So that was my second time seeing her, and it was a pretty good story. Wasn't great, but it was pretty decent. She can act. won me as an extremely attractive woman, and she can act. And I'm glad that she's starting to really get her shine now. Because, being a darker skinned woman, being a larger woman, we don't get a lot of that demographic getting the opportunity to shine. And I'm glad that she is.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's see some other stacks here.
Hey, are you watching Superman and Lois? Do you watch Superman and Lois?
No.
Superman and Lois is a very good show. That's all I can say. If you're not watching it, you're missing out. It's a different version of Superman than we've ever seen. Really, really enjoying that series a lot. Are you reading the current Superman storylines with him and his son and all that other stuff?
No, I'm not a Superman fan. All right, so I picked up What If Miles Morales 3, the one with him becoming the Hulk. I gotta admit, I was against this series from the very beginning. The first issue was really well written, and quite frankly, it was just a dope issue. The subsequent issues where he becomes Wolverine and now Hulk is okay. It's not as good as the first one, but
the first one was great. I didn't pick up the other ones, but when I was in the comic book store the other day, as a matter of fact, was talking to my comic book guide. He said that at the end, there's going to be a story where all of those different versions of Miles Morales are going to come together.
Five. They're all going to come together.
Right. And so I didn't purchase it, but I had them put 2 and 3 in my box, and I'm going to get 4. So I'm eventually going to get
2 and 3. You could probably just leave those, man. They weren't all that. There wasn't anything spectacular that happened.
The first one
is
really,
definitely
really good.
The first one was really good.
Who wrote that story?
I think it's the same brother, Tony Bunchy guy, the guy who was writing Captain America: Symbol of Truth. With Cap Falcon.
Yeah, that first one.
No, I apologize. It's not him. It's Cody Ziegler. We talked about that. Cody Ziegler is the writer. He's another brother.
He did a really good job on that first one. Obviously, I can't say about the second. Hey,
Cody Ziegler is also the writer of that Amazing Spider-Man 88 Beyond with Monica Rambeau.
Gotcha.
That was him.
I know that you're a Wolverine guy.
Yeah.
Was it Weapon H, the dude who's got the Hulk and Wolverine powers?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of issues from that.
Well, the reason why I mentioned it is he's showing up in Savage Avengers.
Yeah. And
his appearance was really kind of cool, so it's made me interested in that character and reading possibly more stuff about him. He's a bad character. I mean, the powers of the Hulk and Dan Wolverine, that's pretty impressive.
Speaking of Wolverine, I picked this issue up. This is a pure cover buy. Because it's done as a promo postcard for Madripoor. If you see at the top there, it says Madripoor. I don't recall there ever being a comic cover with Madripoor on it. So, pure cover buy. I picked this one up. I saw this randomly in pre-orders. This is a book called Greetings from Virgil. It's a graphic novel that takes place in, I believe it's Jamaica. I don't know a lot about this, but I think it's kind of a ghost story. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. A little something off the beaten path. Supporting
so just because of the cover?
No, because it's a story about
Jamaica.
It takes place in Jamaica.
Okay.
Where my people are from. So that's a Jamaican cop on the constable on the cover. This is the uniform one. Got some back issues of stuff. I had this issue and I can't find it in my collection, so I had to go ahead and just buy it again because it disappeared. Harrow, Son of Azure. Everyone's got one of these from back in the 90s, when all the black independent comics were just bursting out of the scene, riding the coattails of Milestone Comics.
Speaking of the 90s, I know that I'm pretty sure that you have that Black Tribe book, #1, right?
Everyone has that.
Right. Did you know that there was a purple cover?
I did. And there's also a blue one and a white one.
I saw the white one. I have not seen the blue one. But yeah, I've not seen those because that lasted only what, 2 issues?
No, it was 3.
Was it 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even tell you anything about that book.
We were just talking about Black Adam, and if you want a lot of good stuff on Black Adam, if you're trying to collect Black Adam, you want to look at the 52 storyline. It also included the introduction of his wife, the current version of Isis. Her name is Adriana Tomaz, something like that. But anyway, they had a bunch of issues, and they had remember I was telling you about the storyline where you kind of have Black Adam, you have his wife Isis, and they have like this son, the adopted son type figure, and it's in some of these issues right here. This is week number 23. Black Adam holding the boy.
Let me say this: I've
week 26, and you see the 3 of them right there.
Black Adam is one of my top 5 favorite comic book characters, and he became such because of the 52 storyline. And in the 52 storyline, there was a book that was released for 52 weeks, 1 book a week. As a companion to that, there was a 4-issue limited series called 52 WW3, where basically Black Adam by himself took on pretty much the entirety of the Earthbound superhero collection and whooped their ass. I mean, it was just spectacular. So that 52 book, those 52 books, there were 52 of them. And this 52 World War III, phenomenal. And then there was a Black Adam. He was depowered for a minute there. And then after that, there was a Black Adam series. It was called Black Adam: The Dark Age. And it was a 6-issue limited series that came about after the 52. So it was also really good.
Shout out to Gordon. He says he also has that Hero series. Along those same lines, also had to get a copy of Purge Zero. These are like just basic Black collection books that everyone should have in their collection at some point. These are not expensive books to pick up. On a newer front, I got that Justice League 75. I wasn't going to get it because, who cares? Justice League dies. Good, let him die. However, this had a really just fire scene with the newly powered up Emerald Knight, John Stewart, who got godlike powers, but then he gets killed. And you're like, wait, I thought John Stewart just got a power up. How did he get killed? So, it came up in my conversation with the writer, Jeffrey Thorne, who was writing Green Lantern. And he says he gets that question. He's like, well, look, understand. First of all, John Stewart went beast mode initially, and he looked like he was going to defeat the big bad. But then who took him out? The Spectre. It's like the only person that beats the Spectre is God himself. So he basically got taken out by, a subversion of the God Almighty. So it's like I'll allow that. So that's kind of what happened to John Stewart in this.
In Marvel, they've got the one above all who is considered God. Who is that in DC?
Dude, you're asking the wrong dude. I don't know, man. One of y'all, you have to ask Richard Wright. Richard Wright's a DC aficionado.
Yeah.
You were talking about the Black Atlanteans in those New Exiles books. Apparently, this came in that run. Here's issues 3 and 4 in that same run.
Yeah, those ones I have.
The Black Namor. So in this run, if those of you are not familiar, the Exiles are kind of like, honestly, for what Marvel's MCU has going on right now, they'd be a great television show to have. You basically get different heroes plucked out of the multiverse, and they become sort of the time multiverse cops of the multiverse. So you'll have a good version of Sabretooth. You'll have Blink. You'll have Darwin. You'll have all these random superheroes. Some of them are kind of altered and different. At one point, they had a version of T'Challa that was a cowboy. In this particular series, They come across a world where Namor is black. T'Challa has actually been killed by his cousin, a woman, who actually becomes the new Black Panther, and Wakanda are like aggressors, and they go out and they're attacking Atlantis, which is being run by a black Namor, who has a son who's half black named Gambit, who's Remy LeBeau. So it's just mixing up. It's like taking all these Marvel characters, putting them in a blender, shaking them up, and then putting them out in the storyline. It's kind of interesting. Let's see what else I got. Got the Batman Killing Time #3 with the introduction of that new villain. Somebody posted this book up. I picked up the first one to see what it was like before I invested in getting the whole series to see if it was any good. It's called Third World War. The cover alone is dope. So I'm looking forward to reading it to see if it's worth getting the whole series. Coach Truck Bernard says Loki season 2 possibly for Exiles. That would be dope. That would be dope. Let's see. Don't have much left. Oh, I got this Mark Waid Irredeemable because of this black character that was introduced in here. That was kind of dope. And this Convergence Aquaman thing had a Black Manta storyline in there. So those are my comic book hauls for the week. Mostly back issues. You got anything else?
No, that was pretty much it, man. That was pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a short one today.
Yeah, I've got to get ready for MegaCon. If any of y'all are going to MegaCon in Orlando, please link up with us. Booth number 4081 at 12 o'clock. We'll be there from 12 to 2, me and Herschel. So link up with us.
Y'all paid for a booth?
No, we're actually going to a booth with one of the vendors is agreed to allow us to hang out there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun.
Most definitely.
All right.
Anyone else got anything else to say? Savage Avengers is on your pull list. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time, right? Where's my outro?